Okay. So what I was talking about is power it on. What I was talking about is the human brain, about 260 billion neurons. And this guy, they are on a project to build a human brain. And what he's saying is, the scientist, what he's saying is that he understands the entire hardware of the brain. The only thing he could not figure out is how it functions. And to his surprise, there is some guy in South Africa. When he was scanned, his brain was scanned. His entire head was filled with water, and only thin layer attached to the skull was the brain. Thin layer. And he was completely functional. Can you imagine? He was completely functional. And so then, now they're puzzled. So how much of the brain is really required? And what is actually driving behind? And this answer was given thousands of years ago, that it is the consciousness which is at work. And consciousness has nothing to do with the brain. Brain capacity is only the motoring skills. And brain has some level of intellect. Even intellect is not of the brain. But assuming the intellect is of the brain, so there is only the capacity to know this is white and this is black, or this is yellow or red. So there is only the discriminating abilities. This is male and female. This is an animal and human. All that is the function of intellect. Rest everything is the function of consciousness. So from consciousness is a memory store of all the impressions of the past. If you observe our thinking, right? Observe our thinking. All thinking is from the past, projected into the present and future. We can never think of anything even in present. We can never think of anything in the future unless it is projected from the past. You see? So, and we are always thinking, even in our careers, we are only thinking from present state. Present state is nothing but past. Only one step ahead in the game. The guy working in MacD's is never thinking that he would become a Bill Gates. Only the next step they are thinking. So that's how human brain functions, or the consciousness functions. So now, unless this consciousness is enhanced, now enhancement of the consciousness is not to become Bill Gates, or Bill Gates doesn't have enhanced consciousness. He has only the thin layer of consciousness available for all of us. Because to interact with this external world, more than that conscious level is not required. It is not required, so it is not available for us. The only place where this enhanced consciousness is required is where I want to experience this subtle essence, which is all pervading, which is which is part of the creation itself. That's why, they say when they samadhi, they think it's deep meditation. But samadhi is not deep meditation. The true samadhi is complete awareness. Because it is taking you to that state where this consciousness originally came into existence, the first mind. So the whole idea, I mean, how to enhance our consciousness or the exercise to enhance the consciousness is only the spiritual practices. Reason, now we are exercising that consciousness to feel the subtle, the soul, our creator. It wants to realize that creator. And that creator is not available with this thin layer of consciousness. We can never understand the nature of it. At the most, we can believe in it, and that's where it stops with our available consciousness. But to realize that creator, you need enhanced consciousness. And that is what the spiritual practice is offering. And that is what the spiritual anatomy project is all about. That's why the spiritual anatomy is not just an explanation of where point 1 is, 2 is, or 3 is. Spiritual anatomy is laying out our journey into this enhanced consciousness. So if I read the book in that sense, then you'll understand it better. Okay. So let me share the screen and we'll read through the book. So any comments, questions thus far? All right. So we were on this unblocking your consciousness. So we went into a deep discussion on this, what is unblocking the consciousness really means. So it is unblocking because enhancing the consciousness, what is available to us. And why it is blocked? Because there is no exercise we are performing in our life to enhance that consciousness, or that enhanced consciousness is required. See, the nature bestows on us whatever is needed according to each individual capacity. So now when I'm exercising, I'm following the spiritual method. That means now I need this spiritual method cannot be followed with the available consciousness. It requires enhanced consciousness. So the nature bestows with enhanced consciousness. That means it is unlocking it for us. All right. Going to the next page. For example, when you feel upset after receiving criticism, your thoughts help you rationalize it by thinking, I am hurt because I put in a lot of effort and expected praise. Similarly, when you are excited about a vacation, your thoughts can interpret this emotion by saying, I'm thrilled because I need a break and have been looking forward for exploring a new place. In both cases, your thoughts provide cognitive feedback to explain and interpret your feelings. Feeling is the cause, thought is the effect, and action is the result. So I think, therefore I am. It's a very famous statement. Cogito ergo sum. I think, therefore I am. Is preceded by a I feel, therefore I think. So now it's like a new way of looking at it. I think, therefore I am, but the thinking starts from the feeling. That's why Daji says meditation is to move from thinking to feeling. And there's a feedback. Depending on how we feel, our thought process changes. So there is always a feedback coming. Every thought is going deeper. It makes an impression, and then the feedback comes. And that's what builds our personality. Everything I put it in comes in as a feedback, and it builds our personality, character traits. Everything is because of that. That's why in our system of meditation, heartfulness, the cleaning has so much importance given. Unless we clean all these impressions which we formed through our thoughts and actions, unless they are cleaned, I cannot set a new pattern. Or the patterns are set. Unless I do the cleaning, I cannot remove those patterns of life. Unless I remove those patterns, I cannot change my life. If we observe, all patterns are set. They're not, how much ever we try, how much ever I say I should not be doing this, we end up doing the same thing when the situation arises. So the cognition is there. Whether I'm doing right or wrong, everybody knows. Even the dog knows. So humans, at least we know everything we do, whether it's wrong or right, but we end up doing it because we have no control over it. The reason we have no control over it is because it is coming from deep inside. The impressions are driving it. And our intellect is justifying it. So we end up doing it. Otherwise, why would there be any criminal activities by humans unless they justify it? Right? And then we go beat our breasts standing in front of God. Oh, I am a sinner. Why are we a sinners? So, because of the impressions. So if I remove these impressions, I don't have to think about it. I don't have to fall into that pattern. Then I can go confidently. I can meet my eye with that entity, what we call God, and says, you are mine and I am yours. That's the whole idea of spiritual exploration and spiritual journey. So feeling is the cause, thought is the effect. But slowly, there is a stage, when we go to the higher points, we even go out of this cause and effect phenomena. We'll discuss that when we get there. So your spiritual anatomy project works from the center to the circumference. You don't change on the outside, you transform from within. Like I said, all change has to come from within because the patterns are set inside, not on the brain. Brain is only a periphery. It's very superficial. Mind is another level below the brain. Even that is superficial. So the only thing which is at work here is consciousness. So all this, the spirituality, meditation, cleaning, everything, we are dealing at the conscious level, not at the mental level. That's why there is not so much philosophy or teaching. That's why we don't have any don'ts in our system. There is nothing, you will not hear anywhere, thou shalt not. The only things you hear is, thou shalt meditate, thou shalt do the cleaning, thou shalt pray. That's all. What I should not do, you already know. Nobody has to tell you. So you change the pattern. Then automatically, we adjust our life accordingly. We comply. See, if you have a car, the car should, when you apply the brake, car should stop, right? Or when you turn on the engine, and the engine should start. Otherwise, it's a car, but useless, right? So same thing with the humans. We are useless to the nature if we don't comply. We are just a junk. Living, of course, still a junk. So we must become the entities of the nature, the force of the nature, so that we help ourselves and we help all existence. Sustenance of life. If you go deep inside any religious teaching, it's all talking about sustenance of life. It's not talking about any moral codes. Moral codes is what we translated. We inferred, and then we struggle with the moral codes. But the real essence is sustenance of life. The sustenance of life only happens when we comply with the nature's laws. Right? So what happens when thinking changes? Because of real inner transformation. So you see this, the change is happening because of the inner transformation. Change is not happening because somebody told you that you have to follow. Thou shalt not lie, but we end up lying. Thou shalt not steal, we end up stealing wherever there is an opportunity, right? And the people who think they don't steal, they all um, get into all piracy. Nowadays, people don't buy books, they download from some site which is providing. That's also piracy, that's stealing, right? So you look at it, wherever there is an opportunity, we are ready to, break that compliance. That's human nature. That nature, we kind of justifying human nature because the patterns are there inside. And when those patterns change, we become a complete being. And that complete being is very useful to this nature. So instead of seeing a glass as half full of or half empty, you see the possibility of the glass designed for twice the capacity. So new perspectives emerge, your field of action expands, you perform growth-oriented action that feel good, encourage you, and create more inspired feelings. So let's revisit the sequence. Inspirations from within, change your feelings, change your thinking. So all this is happening because we are working from inside, from a conscious state. The feedback mechanism all the way comes to the body level. So when your mind feels light, your body also feels light. Your surroundings feel light. So you always, there is a lot of positivity oozes out of you. And you see how the world receiving you. Unless you receive yourself completely, the world doesn't receive you. It always reciprocates what is inside you. If you say, I'm not well treated, it is the reciprocation. That means you're not treating yourself well. It reciprocates. So everything, all change comes from within. Okay, I'll stop here. And any comments, questions, observations?
So he says that.
Sorry, go ahead.
So what does he mean? What kind of feeling does he say you should have in order to inspire your thought? I thought with the meditation, it's more about observation than trying to force something.
We don't force anything. That observation creates a feeling, right? See, suppose I'm watching a movie. I'm watching a horror scene. What is the feeling it invokes? Horror feeling.
Yeah.
I'm watching a romantic scene. What is the feeling it invokes? So the feeling is invoked by what I'm witnessing. So here I'm witnessing this inner essence, most subtle state, what is the feeling it must invoke? It invokes that subtle feeling. And you want to go more and more subtler, you want to deep dive into it automatically. So it is not a what do you call, oh, I now I should deep dive. Not like that. It happens. We get absorbed into that feeling. Rather, we become the feeling itself. So that's why this inner feeling, what they are talking about is because of the state created by the meditation and transmission.
So are you saying that being absorbed by the feeling is almost like
Natural.
being absorbed by the essence?
Correct. Yes.
Okay.
Okay. So as we go through this book, we'll talk about, how all these levels of conscious and how it changes the state and how it creates a condition. What is a condition? A mental state. The kind of feeling we are talking about is the condition. So we're going to learn and discuss more and more about it. Yep. Thank you, Cliff, for bringing up that question.
I have a you said it feelings.
Right.
So where do the feelings come from? So I was thinking needs, wants, and desires.
Mm-hmm.
So like I guess when people came to earth, well, Adam and Eve, they got hungry, so they had a need to eat food. So and then the wants and desires, that's when the Satan came in and tempted Eve with the apple. So the feelings come in from, I guess, a need for survival and love and to be cherished. So that's all I had to say.
Yes, true. Because, so, I mean, somebody asked me, like, is all this idea of belief and faith, is it forced upon the human mind, or is it something beyond the force? Right? So I said, yes, because everything, like you said, started from the need. Survival. Any life, the first thing it looks for is its survival. So when it is looking for its survival, it is looking at the surroundings outside. Because the survival, it doesn't find from inside. So that's why the mind has externalized. Now, when the survival is done, the human, like if you see the animals, if the tiger, kills its prey and eats it, then it is not going to hunt again until it is hungry again. But human has kind of gone into a state, it is still hunting even after its needs are satisfied. So that means the needs have become desires, and desires have become the identity. And now, instead of the survival, it's a survival of the identity. So that identity is hungry all the time. So now, that's why through the spiritual practice, now that identity shifts from this external identity to the inner essence, which is all pervading. And that inner identity is content all the time. Now the hunger stops. Now it looks at human qualities, it looks at nature, it looks at feelings, it looks at inner essence. So that's why there is transformation. Right? Okay, thank you. So I'll stop here.